Good afternoon and welcome to the Public Service Commission of South Carolina. It is Wednesday, March 29th at 2 p.m. and we are here for our regularly scheduled business meeting. Let's take a roll call of commissioners. Present in the hearing room, we have Commissioner Justin Williams, Vice Chair Powers, Commissioner Carol Lee Williams, Commissioner Caston, and Chair Belser. And with us virtually, we have Commissioner Irvin and Commissioner Thomas. Please join me for a moment of silent reflection before we begin the agendas. Thank you. Before we would begin, I'd like to take a moment of personal privilege and recognize our former chairman, Chairman Randy Randall, who lost his mother this week. Would ask that everyone remember him, especially this weekend as they have on Saturday, they have the memorial for Mrs. Randall. So I appreciate. And another item to keep in thoughts and prayers is certainly the tragedy that occurred in Nashville this week. Mr. Powers.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and good afternoon, Vice Chair Powers and Commissioners. The first order of business is to set the next Commission business meeting. Staff recommends the next meeting be held Thursday, April 6th, 2023 at 2 p.m.
Our next business meeting will be scheduled for Thursday, April 6th at 2 p.m.
Today, we have just 8 items on the utilities agenda and 7 items on the transportation agenda. Item number 1 is in docket numbers 2023-16E and 2023-17E. This item concerns a proposed procedural schedule on behalf of Duke Energy Carolinas LLC and Duke Energy Progress LLC.
With regard to agenda item 1, Commissioners, is there a motion?
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Irvin?
Thank you. Madam Chair, I move that the Commission adopt the following pre-file testimony deadlines as proposed by all the parties to this docket through their attorneys of record. There is no objection to this change, which moves up the pre-filing dates on the calendar to accommodate the parties' request. There are no changes, however, to the date of intervention deadline or for the date of the notice and schedule hearing. But here are the changes. The revised pre-filing dates are as follows. Applicants' direct testimony is due May 17, 2023. All other parties' direct testimony is due June the 16th, 2023. The applicant's rebuttal testimony is due July 17, 2023. All other parties' rebuttal testimony is due July 31st, 2023. So moved.
Thank you, Commissioner Irvin. Commissioners, we've heard the motion from Commissioner Irvin. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to a roll call vote, beginning with Commissioner Irvin.
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas.
Aye.
Commissioner Justin Williams.
Aye.
Vice Chair Powers.
Aye.
Commissioner Carol Lee Williams.
Aye.
Commissioner Caston.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. The motion carries.
Item number 2 is in docket number 2019-286E, which involves an inventory purchase and sale agreement between Dominion Energy South Carolina Incorporated and Dominion Energy Nuclear Connecticut Incorporated.
With regard to agenda item 2, do I hear a motion?
Chair Belser, I'd like to make a motion.
Vice Chair Powers.
Thank you, Chair. I move that the Commission accept for filing the inventory purchase and sale agreement between Dominion Energy South Carolina Incorporated and Dominion Energy Nuclear Connecticut Incorporated.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Commissioners, we've heard the motion from Vice Chair Powers. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to a roll call vote. However, I would like to note that I have previously recused in this docket due to when this docket opened, I was employed with the Office of Regulatory Staff and have recused on matters that have come before the Commission in this docket. We'll proceed to a roll call vote, beginning with Vice Chair Powers.
I vote aye.
Commissioner Carol Lee Williams.
Aye.
Commissioner Caston.
Aye.
Commissioner Irvin.
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas.
Aye.
Commissioner Justin Williams.
Aye.
And that's all voting, and the ayes have it, the motion carries.
Item number 3 is in docket number 2017-227G. This is the request for approval of the agreement for transportation service with Firm Gas Standby between Dominion Energy South Carolina Incorporated and Safe Rack LLC.
With regard to Utilities Agenda Item 3, do I hear a motion?
Madam Chair, fellow commissioners.
Commissioner Williams.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, fellow commissioners, I move that the commission approve the transportation service agreement with Firm Gas Standby, for Firm Gas Standby between Dominion Energy South Carolina and Safe Rack LLC. The agreement is dated March 9th, 2023, and supersedes and replaces the prior agreement between Dominion Energy South Carolina LLC and Safe Rack LLC dated July 12th, 2017. So moved.
Thank you, Commissioner Williams. Commissioners, we've heard the motion of Commissioner Williams. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to a roll call vote, beginning with Commissioner Justin Williams.
Aye.
Vice Chair Powers.
Aye.
Commissioner Carol Lee Williams.
I vote aye.
Commissioner Caston.
Aye.
Commissioner Irvin.
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas.
Aye.
And I vote aye. The motion carries.
Item number 4 appears in docket number 2018-324G. This item concerns a service agreement for natural gas on an interruptible basis and a transportation agreement between Dominion Energy South Carolina Incorporated and New South Lumber Company Incorporated. These agreements supersede and replace the service and transportation agreements dated October 9th, 2018 between the two companies.
Commissioners, with regard to Agenda Item 4, is there a motion?
Chair Belser, I'd like to make a motion.
Commissioner Carol Lee Williams.
Thank you. Chair Belser and fellow commissioners, I move that the commission accept for filing the service agreement on an interruptible basis and transportation agreement between Dominion Energy South Carolina Incorporated and New South Lumber Company, Inc., dated March 8th, 2023. The service agreement supersedes and replaces the service agreement dated October 9th, 2018, and this transportation agreement supersedes and replaces the transportation agreement dated October 9th, 2018, between Dominion Energy South Carolina and New South Lumber Company, Inc.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioners, we've heard the motion from Commissioner Williams. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to a roll call vote, beginning with Commissioner Carol Lee Williams.
Aye.
Commissioner Caston.
Aye.
Commissioner Irvin.
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas.
Aye.
Commissioner Justin Williams.
Aye.
Vice Chair Powers.
Aye.
And I vote aye. The motion carries.
Item number 5 appears in docket numbers 2022-5G and 2022-259E. This item involves Dominion Energy South Carolina Incorporated's letter providing an update on the Mountain Valley Pipeline project.
With regard to Utilities Agenda Item 5, do I hear a motion?
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Thomas.
thank you. I move that the commission accept for filing Dominion Energy South Carolina Incorporated's letter dated March the 15th, 2023, which complies with the directives and commission orders number 2022-857 and 2022-860 to provide an update regarding the Mountain Valley Pipeline project no later than March 31st, 2023. So moved.
Thank you, Commissioner Thomas. Commissioners, we've heard the motion from Commissioner Thomas. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to a roll call vote, starting with Commissioner Thomas.
Aye.
Commissioner Justin Williams.
Aye.
Vice Chair Powers.
Aye.
Commissioner Carol Lee Williams.
I vote aye.
Commissioner Caston.
Aye.
Commissioner Irvin.
Aye.
The chair votes aye. The motion carries.
In item number 6, staff presents for commission consideration withdrawal of representation of Connor J. Parker as counsel of record for the South Carolina Department of Consumer Affairs in the following dockets. 2022-89G, 2022-23E, 2021-361G, 2021-349E, 2021-324WS, 2021-291A, 2021-183E, 2021-153S, 2021-90E, 2021-89E, 2021-88E, 2020-247A, and 2020-125E.
Commissioners, we've heard agenda item 6 as identified by Mr. Powers. Is there a motion?
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion.
Commissioner Caston.
I move that the commission direct the chief clerk and the clerk staff to remove the name of Connor J. Parker as counsel of record for the South Carolina Department of Consumer Affairs in the dockets previously mentioned. The commission was notified by attorney and consumer advocate Carrie Gruby Liebarker in docket number 2022-142 WS to withdraw Mr. Parker as counsel of record due to an upcoming change in employment, and that the Department of Consumer Affairs will continue to be represented by Carrie Gruby Liebarker and Roger P. Hall. I further move that the clerk and her staff substitute Ms. Liebarker and Mr. Hall as counsel for the Department of Consumer Affairs when withdrawing attorney Connor Parker.
That's not needed. Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioners, we've heard the motion from Commissioner Caston. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to a roll call vote, beginning with Commissioner Caston.
Aye.
Commissioner Irvin?
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas?
Aye.
Commissioner Justin Williams?
Aye.
Vice Chair Powers?
Aye.
Commissioner Carol Lee Williams?
I vote aye.
And I vote aye. The motion carries.
Item number 7 appears in docket numbers 2022-239E and 2022-240E. This is a motion to hold in abeyance the hearing in this docket and a request for expedited consideration.
With regard to utilities agenda item 7, is there a motion?
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion.
Commissioner Caston.
I move that the commission deny the motion to hold in abeyance the hearing in docket numbers 2022-239E and 2022-240E is filed by Duke Energy Carolinas LLC and Duke Energy Progress LLC, collectively the companies. I further move that the commission grant ORS's request to bifurcate the proceeding to allow the commission to consider the CPRE process and framework proposed by the companies. The proceeding will commence April 17th, 2023 as scheduled. Last, if deemed necessary, the parties will work together on a procedural schedule which will allow the commission to proceed with the hearing on the solar procurement program proposed by the companies. I so move.
Thank you, Commissioner Caston. Commissioners, we've heard the motion from Commissioner Caston. Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Irvin?
Commissioner Caston, didn't the companies, both Duke Energy Progress LLC and Duke Energy Carolinas LLC, request the commission to carry over this matter so that they could have more time to prepare, make their presentations?
They ask us to go in abeyance.
Sir?
They requested that we I
They
guess
asked that we carry it over,
That-
continue the matter.
Commissioner Irvin, can I ask for clarification? Are you
Yes, thank
asking if the companies asked that this agenda item be carried over or that the hearing be moved or held in abeyance?
correct in abeyance.
It's unclear to me what the companies are asking for. I need clarification, please. There's been
They
some
asked that-
flurry of correspondence recently about this particular agenda item, and I need someone to explain to me what we're doing and why we're doing it.
They asked that the commission hold the hearing in abeyance and request for expedited consideration
Of the motion.
of the motion
Which motion?
to hold in abeyance.
Okay. And you're asking us to deny their motion?
Yes, sir.
Why? If they're not
Well-
ready to proceed, then we should work with the company, should we not? Why would we want to bifurcate the proceeding?
Well, ORS has requested such, and not just because they request such, but it is in my opinion that the request is reasonable and that to determine the CPRE process, whether that is what we need to do now, is important that we decide before we decide the second part of that.
Well, explain to me, this is a competitive procurement process that the companies have asked for. Can you explain to me why a competitive procurement process would not be in the public interest?
I think that's what the hearing will determine, similar to the hearing we previously had with the Dominion. We need to determine these things. It is,
I think it would be best to determine them all at one time, as requested by the parties. And so, Madam Chair, I'm going to make a substitute motion that we continue the docket until further notice that the companies are ready to proceed in this matter.
Commissioner Urban has made a substitute motion, which we will consider first. Is there any discussion on the substitute motion? Commissioner C. Williams?
Chair Belzer and fellow commissioners, what I wonder is if we might consider a friendly amendment to Commissioner Caston's motion, which might address Commissioner Urban's. And I'll take that up whenever you would like to, but I wanted to get that out.
We've got a
before we voted.
substitute motion on the floor, which we need to deal with first. That's similar to an amendment to the entire, asking for an amendment to the original motion. So we'll deal with the substitute motion first. Any discussion on Commissioner Urban's substitute motion to grant the request of the Duke companies to hold the proceeding in abeyance? Is that correct, Commissioner Urban? Did I restate your
That's
motion?
correct. I
Okay.
think we should defer to the company's request. If they're not ready to proceed, it makes no sense to split it up and bifurcate it. The matter should be heard at one time when the companies are ready, and we shouldn't force them to go forward if they're not ready. Thank you.
Commissioner Justin Williams, I see your light. Do you have a comment? If not,
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for recognizing me, Madam Chair. Commissioner Irvin, fellow commissioners, regarding this matter, I too, like you, Commissioner Irvin, when I first read the company's letter, I considered it a request for continuance because it seemed obvious they were not prepared or did not have all the information they would like to present at the hearing on the 17th. And that's understandable. That happens sometimes in litigation. What changed my opinion is going back and reviewing the commission's responsibility in determining whether or not a competitive procurement program is in the public interest. Our responsibility stops there. And as I review the company's application and what they're requesting additional time to do, it goes a little bit further than the commission's responsibility. And I don't have the letter in front of me, but I know they had a request for deferral accounting, and some other items that are outside of the scope of the CPRE program. Now, they may have a creative proposal to marry the two, and they may consider that one CPRE program. But based on my reading of ORS's objection to the company's motion to hold the hearing in abeyance, it seems that the decision to determine whether or not a CPRE program is within the public interest in the company's service territory is ripe for consideration based on the filings that have already been made. And so for me, it doesn't offend me to bifurcate the matter if the filings that have already been made are enough to make a decision as to whether or not the framework and the proposal are within the public interest without the additional information like the request for deferral accounting and the other items. Excuse me for not having them readily available, but I think there's several other items that I saw referenced by witness Sandinato that I think are outside of the scope of the CPRE program. And I would note for the record that the commission actually voted unanimously back in January not to bifurcate the same hearing. ORS brought the matter up for our consideration, and we chose not to bifurcate. And for me at that time, I thought that we would hear the matter on the 17th. That what was scheduled, and I was comfortable with that decision then. But now, I think the request is to hold this matter in abeyance until August for the reasons that are not connected to whether or not the CPRE program are in the public interest. It's just a little bit too far for me. So those are just my thoughts. I will offer those thoughts to the commission. And I'm welcome to hear any other thoughts if there are things I haven't considered.
Any further discussion?
Madam Chair, may I briefly respond to
Commissioner Irvin?
Williams? Thank you. With all due respect, Commissioner Williams, I appreciate the background information. I found it to be risky when you bifurcate matters. There are going to be issues that may come up, like different court reporter, a different commission, somebody might be on leave or unavailable. I really think from a procedural standpoint, it's best to start a docket and finish it before skipping around. If we hear something in April, it's going to be stale in our minds. We have to come back to it in the fall or in August. It's just not I don't think it's good practice. Creates confusion. It also creates the potential for not having a complete record before us. I suppose how could we make findings of fact if we haven't heard all the testimony and evidence? How could we make conclusions of law if there's still outstanding testimony? I just don't agree with the practice. The companies ask us to continue it. If they're not ready, I think we should abide by their request and give them a continuance until they are ready to go forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Irvin. Any further discussion?
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Justin Williams?
Commissioner Irvin, I more than respect everything you said. I tend to agree. I've requested continuances myself. I understand it completely. I just, in this particular case, I find ORS's letter and rationale for proceeding forward on the 17th just a hair bit more compelling. But I understand everything you said, and I respect it.
May I ask you a question in that regard?
Yes, sir.
Are we going to go ahead after the first half of this proceeding and make a determination as to whether it's in the public interest before we proceed with the second half?
Commissioner Irvin, that would be my intention. I think that if just because the hearing is bifurcated, we would issue an order on the first part and then the second part.
Well, I can't imagine how a competitive procurement of resources could ever be not in the public interest. I mean, we always are looking for the lowest possible price, the lowest possible cost for ratepayers. And it should be a fairly short hearing because the whole reason we do competitive procurement, we wanted to do it, is to get the lowest possible price to protect the ratepayers' interests. So I just leave you that thought. I'm going to be voting for my substitute motion. I would encourage you to do so as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Irvin. Commissioner Caston?
One final thought. If we do reach some kind of order at the end of the first half, wouldn't that be immediately appealable, Madam Chair, which would delay a full hearing? It would certainly be subject to motions to reconsider, which could further delay the second half. I just think we're opening a Pandora's box here. We haven't fully thought this through.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Caston?
Fellow commissioners, the intent of my motion is really to bifurcate the issues outside of the CPR process. I believe that it is the commission's duty and our role per the statute to simply hear the evidence and then decide, not decide before we hear the evidence. And to do that, we need to do step one. And then if there's a step two, do step two. That's all this motion is.
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Justin Williams?
you know, they say that there is no stupid question. I don't know how true that is, but out of fear that I don't get all my questions answered, if this is a stupid question, I ask you to charge it to my heart and not my head. I just want to make sure I fully understand what the outcome of bifurcation will be, because I'm thinking that the company anticipates that the information that they have for part one and part two should be considered together in the determination as to whether or not their program is within the public interest. So, Madam Chair, when you say that you anticipate hearing those matters, the public interest portion based on the framework or the process of the CPRE program, I was thinking that we would hear that and then come back and hear the rest once they're prepared to go forward. I could be wrong.
I think I understand your comments. I think the way I understand the motion is that we would proceed on the issue of whether a CPRE program within the balancing area of the utilities is in the public interest as required by the statute in Act 62. And the parts that would be put to a later proceeding may be the specifics of the 2022 solar procurement program that Duke has proposed, whether there was a request for a deferral accounting and other accounting, and thought there was something else, but yes, the first part would be the determination of public interest as set forth in the act, and then the specifics would be addressed later.
Madam
The
Chair,
specific request. Commissioner Irvin.
I'm cautioning everyone to think through this because if you're going to go that route, and as you stated that you plan to enter a final order on the whether competitive procurement is in the public interest, that order would be immediately appealable. We could never get to the second half of the hearing. I think that's so unfair to the two companies involved, because they have to make plans. It's unfair to the commission because we have to make plans in terms of how that procurement process will go forward. It will result in delay and additional cost because the costs are increasing monthly due to commodity prices going up, due to solar prices going up. This new IRA that Congress passed is going to stimulate the entire solar industry. Prices are going to rise. It's ultimately going to cost the ratepayers in the end. I strongly suggest that we take this matter up in its entirety when the company's ready to proceed and not before. Thank you.
Madam Chair?
Commissioner Justin
I'm
Williams.
going to challenge your knowledge, even though I know it's excellent of Robert's rules here, because I have a subsequent motion. I don't know if it's appropriate to take this motion up now, but I have a subsequent motion and would like to be heard at the appropriate time.
You have a substitute to the substitute, or?
I do have a substitute. I said subsequent, but a substitute motion, excuse me.
Well, the way that I treat substitute motions is that is basically asking for an amendment of the entire motion. So now we have an amendment or a substitute to the substitute, which we will treat as a amendment. So we will state your motion, Commissioner Williams.
Madam Chair, fellow commissioners, I move that we carry this item over until next week so commissioners can further study the outcome of bifurcation to make sure that we don't have, or at least try to mitigate any decision regret that could arise from this decision.
Okay. Commissioners, on the substitute to the substitute motion, is there any discussion? All right, the motion is to carry the matter over till next week. We'll proceed to a roll call vote, beginning with Commissioner Justin Williams.
Aye.
Vice Chair Powers.
Aye.
Commissioner Carolee Williams.
Aye.
Commissioner Caston.
Aye.
Commissioner Irvin.
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas.
Aye.
I vote aye. The motion carries. The substitute motion passed. Therefore, we do not go back to the previous motions. Thank you.
Item number 8 is in docket number 2022-9E, which involves final disposition of Dominion Energy South Carolina Incorporated's 2022 Integrated Resource Plan update.
Commissioners, with regard to agenda item 8, is there a motion?
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion.
Commissioner Carolee Williams.
Chair Belser and fellow commissioners, I move that the commission find, based on the filings of Dominion Energy South Carolina, the Office of Regulatory Staff report, and all evidence of the record, that Dominion Energy South Carolina's 2022 Integrated Resource Plan update is reasonable and meets the statutory requirements established by Act 62. Although Dominion Energy South Carolina has filed its 2023 Comprehensive IRP, I move that all requirements from the Dominion Energy South Carolina's 2020 Comprehensive IRP decision, which is Order 2021-429, and the subsequent IRP updates be addressed in any ongoing stakeholder engagement, any potential negotiations, as well as testimony for the 2023 Dominion Energy South Carolina Comprehensive Integrated Resource Plan. I further move that the Commission instruct Dominion Energy South Carolina to consider and address in testimony or other appropriate manner the comments from all parties, and to specifically address the 11 recommendations raised by ORS in this docket as Dominion Energy South Carolina prepares for the 2023 Comprehensive IRP hearing. I so move, and
Thank you.
Chair Belser, I do have comments.
Thank you, Commissioner Williams. Commissioners, we've heard the motion from Commissioner Carolee Williams, and we will address comments at this time, beginning with Commissioner Williams.
Thank you. The Commission's reality is that we are reviewing the 2020 IRP update and considering whether to accept it while the 2023 Comprehensive IRP was received 2 months ago. The Commission and interveners and all parties necessarily need to focus resources where they will make the most difference. I believe that that focus should be on the 2023 Comprehensive IRP. The timing of the updating of integrated resource plans is both important and challenging, as I think you can see. Annual updates of the IRP are both valuable and time-consuming, but they offer an opportunity for each electric utility to adjust their plan annually based on the latest information. The challenge comes from the timing, time to review, and that there is another IRP update or comprehensive IRP coming up. We are now at the end of the first set of IRPs, the inaugural 2020 Comprehensive IRP and the following IRP updates. And just for clarity, I understand that IRPs have been around for at least a decade and maybe more. What was inaugural about the 2020 Comprehensive IRP is that it was the first IRP to consider to be considered for approval by the Public Service Commission under the legislature's Act 62. As with many inaugural planning activities, times are identified for adoption. Things do change. Winter storms happen, hurricanes happen, new technologies emerge, costs change. The intent of this motion is to stand by the requirements of the 2020 Comprehensive IRP order, but offer some grace or flexibility to resolve those remaining items within the boundaries of the upcoming 2023 Comprehensive IRP. In 2020, the Comprehensive IRP, the Commission established a number of key elements to be phased in over a prescribed time frame. Certain items needed to be completed right away within the modified IRP. Other items needed to be completed in the 2021 IRP update, and still others in the 2022 IRP update, and others in the 2023. These required elements are described in Order 2021-429. What this motion offers is that the 2022 IRP update, within it is some flexibility regarding the timing of implementation, while requesting that each of the items be addressed in the 2023 IRP process, understanding that the 2023 IRP is already in our docket, but understanding that the process is ongoing as ORS reviews it, as parties offer discovery requests, as parties meet with the applicant, and as testimony is filed. Finally, and a little bit aside from my previous comments, stakeholder engagement is a term that I think we all recall coming up over and over again as a part of the 2020 Comprehensive IRP. I applaud Dominion for their robust use of stakeholders since that time. It's clear from their responses to recommendations that stakeholders will be their go-to resource for vetting of information and getting the latest best practices for consideration. The impact of stakeholders is evident looking at both the number of incorporated processes as well as the exchange of ideas. The stakeholder process is ongoing and offers a meaningful opportunity to resolve several of the suggestions brought by ORS and other interveners. The Commission encourages this tool in hopes that agreements related to the 2023 Comprehensive IRP can progress during the ORS review of the Comprehensive IRP and through the testimony and prior to the Commission hearing in September of 2023. Thank you, fellow Commissioners.
Thank you, Commissioner Williams. Vice Chair Powers?
Thank you. Commissioner Williams, thank you for your work on this. Let me add that I think one of the big things that was very helpful to this commission and eye-opening was the public involvement, not just the stakeholders that we've heard through public hearings. And I think what we hear through public hearings is very telling and should not be overlooked. I'm just concerned the IRP is done. Do we have any way of addressing these issues other than in our questioning or in the parties' questioning of the company when we do hold the hearing? I mean, you're not asking them to redo what we haven't even considered yet, are you?
You are absolutely right. I'm not asking them to redo the comprehensive IRP submittal, but I'm also understanding that there is a process that we don't see that involves, face-to-face, email-to-email information exchange. And as is sometimes the case, we may get a stipulation where there are agreements. And this allows the parties to understand that we do have an order from 2021 related to the 2020 comprehensive IRP. And that is law, as I understand it. And in approving, as I'm suggesting that we do, in approving the 2022 IRP update, I'm also pointing to that order as a part of what we need, what everyone needs to be considering as we move forward.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Vice Chair Powers. Commissioner Caston?
Thank you, Madam Chair, and Commissioner Williams, thank you, as always. You were very thorough. In previous discussions, I think, we discussed it, and I said I would probably use fewer words, but that doesn't mean my words would be better than your words, and I think you covered it quite well. And I think Commissioner Powers kind of answered some of my questions, is that you're not saying that there's anything that needs to be changed or modified. You're saying, hey, we'd like to see you look at these things, or at least y'all discuss them, talk about them. Is that correct?
Correct. It is March 29th, I think, and we have this hearing in September, and where the 7 of us are not going to be focused on this until September. There are a lot of other parties and the applicant that will be focused on, especially ORS as they review. But what I saw in the comments was an ongoing conversation with the stakeholders, where items have been presented at a stakeholder meeting, but where the company is saying, we'll broach this subject again going forward. So probably philosophically, the most important thing that I'm trying to convey is, let's take advantage of that time. We can't, the 7 of us cannot, but we're all looking for the best, most thorough, most up-to-date 2023 comprehensive IRP. Times do change, but we are going to need to understand from the 2021 order what elements are still vital and what elements might have changed based on the time frame and the information that was shared in the 2020 comprehensive IRP and what's going to be shared with us in the future for the 2023 IRP. I hope that wasn't too lengthy, but
No, I think that was just right.
okay.
You clarified it well. I appreciate it. This is, I don't know, our second, third cycle of these type things, and I can only speak for me, but I've learned a lot through this time. There's no one right way. There's no one size that fits them all, and it sounds like what you're saying is, hey, what's still appropriate, what's not, what do we need to do? Thank you very much for that. I appreciate it. You've been most gracious.
Thank you, Commissioner Caston. Commissioner Justin Williams?
Thank you, Chair Belzer. Commissioner Carol Williams, it sounds like what I'm hearing from you is that in your way, you're offering not only the company, but the parties a friendly reminder that there are things that need to be done, and we're going to follow up on them and ask questions about them. And that process is probably going to take place in about 5 months or so. And so when we ask those questions, we didn't do that, or I'm not the witness for that, or I'm not prepared on that, it's probably not going to be the right answer. Is that fair?
It's my hope that many of the prescribed activities that are or requirements that are part of the 2021 order will be addressed either in agreements, particularly in testimony, and that we will, in addition, it will not be a surprise when we ask questions if they're not addressed.
Well, I appreciate good leadership, and I appreciate you leading the way on this motion and looking over the horizon and anticipating what could potentially happen and making sure that everyone's prepared to address the issue in a meaningful way at the appropriate time. So I'm proud to support your motion.
Thank you, Commissioner Williams. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to a roll call vote, beginning with Commissioner Carol Lee Williams.
Aye.
Commissioner Caston.
Aye.
Commissioner Irvin.
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas.
Aye.
Commissioner Justin Williams.
Aye.
Vice Chair Powers.
Aye.
The chair votes aye. The motion carries.
Madam Chair, that completes the utilities agenda before the commission. Moving on to the motor carrier agenda, item numbers 1 through 6 are requests for Class C certificates. Staff recommends that these items be taken together, and I will review them for the commission. Item number 1 appears in docket number 2023-83T, which is the application of Safe Care and Divine Transportation LLC for a Class C non-emergency certificate. Item number 2 is in docket number 2023-85T. This is an application from D's Class C Rider LLC for a Class C non-emergency certificate. Item number 3 is in docket number 2023-86T. This is an application of Quincy Executive Transportation Services LLC for a Class C charter certificate. Item number 4 is in docket number 2023-87T. This is the application of Shepherd's Transportation Service LLC for a Class C non-emergency certificate. Item number 5 is in docket number 2023-90T. This is the application of Tabs Professional Transportation LLC for a Class C charter certificate. Item number 6 is in docket number 2023-91T. This is the application of Northern Star Capital LLC, doing business as Northern Star Transit for a Class C non-emergency certificate.
Commissioner, we've heard Mr. Powers identify items 1 through 6 on the transportation agenda. Is there a motion?
Madam Chair, I have a motion.
Vice Chair Powers?
Thank you. I move that the commission approve the applications for Class C certificates in items number 1 through 6 as listed by Mr. Powers.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Commissioners, we've heard the motion from Vice Chair Powers. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to a roll call vote, starting with Vice Chair Powers.
Aye.
Commissioner Carol Lee Williams.
Aye.
Commissioner Caston.
Aye.
Commissioner Irvin.
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas.
Aye.
Commissioner Justin Williams.
Aye.
And I vote aye. The motion carries.
Item number 7 is in docket number 2022-132T. This is the request of 12-4 Transportation LLC for an extension of time until June 19th, 2023 to comply with commission rules and regulations.
With regard to transportation agenda item 7, is there a motion?
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Irvin?
thank you. I move that the commission grant an extension of time until April 19, 2023 to comply with commission rules and regulations. So moved.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioners, we've heard the motion from Commissioner Irvin. Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Irvin?
I would like to point out that by prior order, the certificate was granted originally on April the 19th, 2022. Order for a request for extension was later granted until March 19, 2023. And we granted that request. My point is that they've run out of time. We cannot go any further than April 19, 2023 for them to comply with commission rules and regulations. And that's the background on the motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Irvin. And of course, if an applicant runs out of time, nothing prevents them from reapplying. So,
That's correct.
with regard to Commissioner Irvin's motion, any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to a roll call vote, starting with Commissioner Irvin.
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas.
Aye.
Commissioner Justin Williams.
Aye.
Vice Chair Powers.
Aye.
Commissioner Carol Lee Williams.
Aye.
Commissioner Caston.
Aye.
And Chair votes aye. The motion carries.
Madam Chair and Commissioners, this concludes all the business noticed before the commission today.
Thank you, Mr. Powers. As stated earlier, our next business meeting will be next Thursday, April 6th at 2 p.m. And with that, wish everyone a good afternoon, and this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.